You may believe that assault rifles can't hold their own against SMGs in the Division, but with how assault rifles do 25% increased headshot damage over SMGs and can be turned into frickin' laser beams, assault rifles are far superior over SMGs at 20 to 30 meters. So in this video we're going to find the best assault rifle in the Division and the best weapon talents and weapon mods to complement whichever of these 17 assault rifles is best in PvE and PvP. This is the ultimate guide to assault rifles in the Division, but if you don't care about any of the assault rifles apart from the best one, click here for the conclusion. Now while these 17 assault rifles may have different names and different models, all of them fall within just 6 assault rifle categories: the ACRs, the AKs, the FAUs, the P416s, the M4s and the SCARs. Each of these categories has a scaling value assigned to its base damage. Basically, the higher the scaling value, the more your firearm stat boosts the base damage of each of these weapons. Here's an example of how these categories scale differently. As we can see here, the FAUs reign supreme, AKs come second, SCARs are third, and the rest of them are exactly the same because they have the same base damage and scaling value. However, if we consider mag size, RPM and reload speed in this chart using this formula, we see a very different chart showing us how much base damage each category pumps out per minute before gear, mods or talents take effect. To make this chart a bit more realistic, we're going to throw a mag mod onto each of these assault rifle categories. The mag mod you should use for PvE when using an assault rifle is the increased mag size and weapon damage mod. I'll explain why later in this video. The mag mod I'm using in this example increases mag size by 100% and weapon damage by 13%, and as you can see, drastically changes results. M4s are now much more powerful and AKs and SCARs do roughly the same amount of damage, where the ACRs and P416s lag behind slightly. Now if we convert this into a bar graph, we can see that the difference between the FAUs and the P416s is only around 7%, meaning a good base damage roll on a P416 could produce a P416 that does more damage than all of the other guns shown here, and the same can be said about any of these weapons. The truth is, these damage numbers are too closely related to determine the best assault rifle based on damage, so instead we'll decide which assault rifle is best based on the characteristics of each weapon. If you want to skip to a certain assault rifle here, you can click the annotations on screen or the links in the description. The ACR, Enhanced ACR-E and Tactical ACR share the exact same stats across the board. The only difference you'll find in this category is obviously the name of the ACR and the models. With the right weapon mods, the ACRs are very stable vertically and horizontally, but like most of the assault rifles on this list, suffers from a moderate amount of crosshair bloom, making getting headshots past around 15 meters unreliable. The largest downside of the ACRs are how they sound so beastly, yet they don't hit very hard. It makes the low damage of the ACR appear even lower than it actually is, making for a lackluster feel of power that should come with any weapon in the game. The three AKs all have the same stats but do have some variation in characteristics. This variation is the classic AK-47, the same AK variant of the sadly disappointing weapon, the Warlord. The Black Market AK and Military AK have the exact same characteristics, but the classic AK, or Warlord, has a mind of its own when unmodded, making for a weapon that has more stability issues than the other two AKs, which by the way, already have a lot of stability issues. You can tame the AKs with stability and horizontal stability weapon mods, but you still feel the handling issues when shooting at targets beyond 20 meters, or shooting the classic AK past 15 meters. To add to this, the AKs have the slowest reload time of the assault rifles and a low optimal range. All three FAUs or FALs again have the same stats, boasting the best optimal range by far at 32 meters, and the characteristics of these three weapons are the same. The FAUs have no crosshair bloom due to it being burst fire and are the hardest hitting of the assault rifles on this list, but as a result have a bloated amount of DPS. In actuality, because they're burst fire weapons, there's a pause between firing each 3-shot burst, making the damage much lower than it appears on paper or on your screen, and the vertical stability is incredibly difficult to negate unless you time it perfectly every time. Only the most elite players will be able to use these weapons effectively, as your timing skills need to be near perfect. The P416s are statistically the worst assault rifles on this list. They have a low optimal range and low damage, where all the other stats are somewhere in the middle ground, making for two weapons that I simply cannot give any pros about compared to the other weapons on this list. Now, if that wasn't enough, the P416s for some reason all pull to the left, even with a high amount of horizontal stability. I loved this weapon while leveling up, but after testing other assault rifles, I've discovered how mediocre it really is. If it wasn't for the slight pull to the left, I would say that the P416s are on par with the ACRs. The M4s have the biggest differences in characteristics amongst all the other assault rifle categories. Their optimal range is good and their rate of fire makes their weak base damage competes with the best damage dealers on this list. The lightweight M4 is the same as a Liberator, but for some reason the lightweight M4 has one less accuracy and one less stability, a first for named weapons, so the Liberator is actually very slightly a little tiny bit better than the lightweight M4, but only stat wise and not really a noticeable amount. The lightweight M4 does a lot of damage, yes, but it's impossible to control. All the stability in the division couldn't fix how unstable this weapon is. Sure, you can kick some ass at close range, but SMGs are simply better at close range, so why would you pick up a lightweight M4 at all? The same pretty much applies to the police M4, very difficult to control, but the last of the M4s does provide some hope for M4s, the LVOA-C. The LVOA-C has zero horizontal instability, unlike the lightweight M4 and police M4, but it has the highest vertical recoil of any gun that I've used. This weapon will make you use parts of your mouse mat you never knew existed. If you can control this high vertical recoil, then this is the best M4 of the three. Last of the assault rifle categories are the three SCARs. They all have the exact same characteristics, but for some reason the tactical MK16 has 7 less accuracy than the other two. On other assault rifle categories this wouldn't make much of a difference, but because the SCARs have the largest crosshair bloom of all the assault rifles, it does make a slight difference. The SCARs have a high optimal range, fast reload speed and decent base damage, but the crazy high bloom on these three weapons prevents any possibility of reliably headshotting targets past around 15 meters. On the plus side though, these SCARs do have great stability, and FYI, the named weapon Caduceus is exactly the same as a SOCOM SCAR-L. To summarise what we've learned so far, there's no clear winner on damage, and none of the assault rifles can reliably headshot hostiles past around 20 meters, apparently where assault rifles are supposed to shine over SMGs. So I guess, assault rifles just suck then. However, there is hope for the assault rifles, but only 2 of the assault rifle categories can benefit from this ray of shining hope, and it comes in the form of the balanced weapon talent. The balanced weapon talent removes crosshair bloom completely on assault rifles that don't fire too fast, and crosshair bloom is a major reason why assault rifles suck past 20 meters. But with balanced, you turn your busted ass assault rifle into a laser beam of death and destruction, easily surpassing the 20 meter assault rifle limit without this talent. Here is me killing some shit at 70 meters. The only 2 assault rifle categories that benefit greatly from the balanced weapon talent is the AKs and the SCARs, simply for how they have the lowest rate of fire. To give you an example of why other assault rifle categories cannot make the most of balanced, here is an ACR with balanced at 760 RPM. Notice how it blooms unlike AKs and SCARs. This is due to the RPM being just too damn high. The very reason why the best mag mod for the assault rifle, in PvE at least, is the mag size and weapon damage mod, the same mod I've been using throughout this video. With this information, we are finally getting somewhere, cutting down the best assault rifles on this list to just 6 different assault rifles. Actually 5, because I'm going to get rid of the classic AK. It's worse than the other AKs. But I'm keeping the tactical MK16 on this list because the reduced accuracy it has doesn't matter when you have the balanced weapon talent. I went ahead and tested these 5 weapons for several hours in PvE and PvP to see how well they perform, always remembering that we're looking for the best assault rifle between 20 and 30 meters, because below that range SMGs are king. I found that even with stability and horizontal stability mods, the AKs felt a little unstable compared to the SCARs, where the SCARs were still stable with a stability and crit mod on the muzzle. So in effect the SCAR does more damage and is more stable than the AK. Now if that's not enough to convince you, the SCARs have a slightly faster rate of fire, 10% faster reload speed and 2 more meters of optimal range. So in conclusion, the SCARs are the best assault rifles for PvE in the division. As for PvP, and as I'm sure you're aware, it's all about the burst damage and the headshots. So here's a graph using a rate of fire mag mod instead of a weapon damage mod, and only looking at the raw damage per second of each weapon, which shows us that the M4s are clearly the best at burst damage. However, the only M4 you should be using in PvP is the LVOA-C, purely for how it can reliably get headshots over the police M4 and lightweight M4. Just remember to burst fire this weapon, it kicks really hard after a second or two of automatic fire. To conclude this video, the best assault rifle for PvE in the division is any 3 of these SCARs. They're all exactly the same. As long as they have the balanced weapon talent and you don't modify the rate of fire, any of these 3 will become frickin' automatic sniper rifles. Obviously going with brutal is highly recommended here, but the final weapon talent will be based on your build. For PvP, the LVOA-C with brutal and any other talents that complement your build is best. Remember to mod it with rate of fire and burst fire it. With all of these weapons, you'll want to go with headshot and crit chance on your optic, stability and crit on your muzzle, and stability and horizontal stability on your underbarrel. Now because I know people will ask in the comments, no, assault rifles are not better than M1As. In fact, an M1A with balanced does over 200% more damage than the best assault rifle in the division. It's truly ironic how the balanced weapon talent makes M1As so unbalanced in this game. Regardless of that fact, I hope this video has given you some insight into the world of assault rifles in the division, and I want to thank these guys for helping me make this video literally possible. I may follow up this video with one for LMGs, sniper rifles, SMGs, etc. So if you want to see something like that, just share the information in this video. Thank you for watching, and the tactical MK16 blueprint will eventually be available at the DZ03 Safehouse vendor, apparently.